Welcome to Good Mythical More. We're going to have a candid conversation with you, Mythical Beasts, about the changes you're experiencing and the comments you're giving us.
Sudden secret.
Sudden secret? Yeah, it's too late for that.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
You don't even know what I said.
All right, so here's the thing. Like we said at the top of the episode, we're still getting rolling with this expanded version of Good Mythical Morning, and I think this is our opportunity to just be more candid and kind of tell you, to process the comments and the feedback we're getting from you guys, but also for you to hear from us more candidly about...
You're saying that there was feedback?
Yeah, there's feedback.
There's actually been feedback?
Well, and before we get into it, it's interesting because I've been so excited about the launch of this expanded Good Mythical Morning for many, many months now. We've been thinking about it. We've been gearing up. We've been bringing new people onto the team in order to make this happen. But we haven't been able to talk to you about it that much. So we've done so many things on the internet and tried new things that we know the moment you try a new thing, period. I'm not even talking about changing or expanding something. There's all of this, but pressure's not the right word, but expectation. Like, we've been trained to expect an avalanche of feedback from you guys.
And listen, we don't want to, here's the thing is that I don't want to just write off all the feedback that we've gotten and just say, you guys are just resistant to change. No. Now, first of all, you guys are resistant to change. That is a fact. That's human nature, and it's very true on the internet.
I'm sure we are too.
Yeah, it's
or
true,
he is at
it's
least.
true of us.
Well, I know I am.
But we don't want to just blanket say, you're resistant to change, get with the program.
No.
We've never done that. You guys, if you've been watching for any length of time, you know that this isn't television, and we don't do this like television. We create things, we throw it out there, we let it interact with you, and we kind of have a compromise between what we want to do. So in other words, we're not robots, and we don't just do everything that you guys want us to do. We do what we think you're going to want. And a lot of times we'll give you things before you know that you want them. And I think in the end, we always end up creating a product that people like. But there is always this sort of initial thing. And so we want to actually talk through some of the specific, we want to talk through some of the themes that we have seen in the comments. So not specific people that have said things, but we've seen people make comments, and there's lots of
we're going to name names, though.
There's lots of thumbs up for very specific things, and so we've kind of, we've read those, and we've had time to process them, and we want to just talk about it a little bit right now.
But before we do, I guess to finish the thought that I was getting at, and it was, we've been so excited about launching this show, but at the same time, we've been apprehensive because we know with any change, with any new thing we launch, there's always feedback and there's always things to learn. And as producers and as creative perfectionists, it's weird because you always feel like, we would never say this, but you feel like you want to put something out there and you want people to only say positive things about it. You want you want people to be like, you know what? That was the perfect thing, and that was the best thing you've ever done. But we
that's
know
never happened.
that
literally
never happened.
When we started Good Mythical Morning, everybody hated it. Every time we changed Good Mythical Morning, everybody hated it. When we started Buddy System, everybody hated it. When we did the Mythical Show, everybody hated it.
Oh, none of that's true. Why are you saying that? When we started this up, everybody hated it?
No, I'm saying that that was the sentiment. I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying that, and I think those people are especially vocal. So no, that's how you end up feeling as the creator.
How you feel, right?
You see everything, and you come into work that day, and you're like, everybody hates it. We've done this for 11 years, and we've had this feeling a lot. So we're very used to it.
But the truth is, everybody doesn't hate it. And that even when you guys give feedback, it's supportive. So we should get into it, but I will acknowledge that when it comes to something that's not new, that is Good Mythical Morning, that, we've spent 1,000+ episodes together, and then to say, okay, now we're doing something that could be perceived as drastically different. We've been extremely sensitive to that. But we're still getting those comments. So now let's just talk about it.
Yeah. So the first thing is that there's sort of a general sentiment in the comments that's like, you guys changed it and it's like this and I don't like it, and that's it.
This is how it is now, and I don't like it.
And I think you can probably already see that even today, like, I mean, a lot of people made observations about the lighting. Well, when we watched back the first couple episodes, we also made those same observations about the lighting. And so you can see that today's video, if you compare them, looks a lot different. Yeah, we're using a different system here, and there's a technical process for trying to get things dialed in. So it was not this intentional thing like, let's make it green and yellow because we want to look green and yellow. No, it's like it's a new lighting package and it's new cameras, and so we're dialing it in to get it to be what you know and love. It's like, because that's what we know and love. That was not some intentional change. So you can see that change is already happening. We're going to continue to tweak that. So even don't get so upset about the lighting. The lighting is something that's so easily adjusted.
And then in the when it comes to the sound, you know, we're trying different things there because you guys have complained a lot about the chewing sounds. And I know that's my fault.
We eat a lot of things on the show, and everyone complains about Link's chewing noises. Like, go back again.
So we're trying to fix
that. You guys made those complaints, and so we responded to that. We are using a different sound system, and we're continuing to dial that in so it won't sound so like you're inside Link's actual mouth while he's chewing. Unless you really, really like that.
There's a whole other channel devoted to that.
Yeah.
And I'm not, well, I was going to say what it was called, but then I couldn't come up with an appropriate title. So I'm not, and let's get one more thing out of the way before we get into like the nitty gritty.
Okay.
Just in terms of like how you technically interact with the show, like how YouTube works and how the fact that now the show is 4 separate videos that then we create to be viewed together as a show. We're still working on that to figure out how to make it as seamless as possible. But the first thing we're trying to do to make it simple, like we said at the top of the episode, was you always start with the video with the green border. Green means go. And then from there, YouTube should show you what's next and hopefully autoplay that. And then we're trying to make it where, you can click the link in the description, or if you want to cherry pick what you watch, you can do those things. Or at the end of each video, there's the thing that you can click.
Well, because that's another way that this show is kind of innovating on the platform. So a lot of people have been like, I don't understand why you're not making this all one video together. And why don't you just do one longer video with these different segments in it? Well, we're being very intentional about the way we're doing this because YouTube is first and foremost a video segment-oriented platform. So people take something that they like, you know, like, and that's why the late night shows upload a song or a performance or a specific piece from the interview. They don't just put their whole show up there because that's how things get shared and liked on YouTube. But we're trying something that's new. Again, this is new. People haven't experienced entertainment in this way where you can enjoy a show by letting these videos play all together, but then you can also isolate a segment and share it in the way that YouTube has traditionally worked. Yes, that is a little unusual, but we think that's the way things are going, and so we're trying to be some of the first people there.
That's called being on the edge of the snowplow.
Yeah, and again, it can be frustrating, but we've tried to make that simple for those of you who are like, okay, I don't want to and again, we don't want to make it hard. We want to make it where you don't have to think about it. You're like, oh, I see the one with the green outline. We're going to make that outline, we've already made that outline even more visible than it was right at the beginning of the day on Monday. And then you click on that, and then you're into the show experience. But that's specifically why we're doing it this way. And why are we, a lot of people are like, why are you doing this at all? Why aren't you just making one video when if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Well, this is on us. This is our idea. This is what we wanted to do. We've always aspired to create more of a show, a bigger and better show, a variety show that throws more things at you because it's just the nature of who we are.
If we keep doing the same thing as artists, you know, it seems pretentious to call us artists, but whatever you want to call us, we'll go nuts. We can't keep doing the exact same thing. We need to challenge ourselves, and at the same time, it's a puzzle for us to get excited about new things while continuing to keep the things that we don't want to get rid of. And I think the good news is a lot of what we want to keep doing is what you've subscribed for. It's the reason why you love GMM. Those are the things, and we'll go through it. The things that that you don't want to lose, we don't want to get rid of either. But we want to add opportunities for us to create new things for you, or go back to working on some old things that we haven't been able to do as much. Like more songs, you know, but being able to do that within the context of Good Mythical Morning is something that's very exciting for us, because before it was, well, Good Mythical Morning was just limited to this desk, and it was just limited to one video a day that was roughly this length of time. But when you remove some of those, when you keep all that the same, you keep the show that you guys love. But then when you add other segments, you allow us to experiment with other things that you might find out you didn't know you wanted, but you did. So that's what we're trying to do. That's why we see it as a win-win.
As opposed to just keeping ourselves in a box and saying, we're going to do the same thing exactly the same way forever and ever and ever. That's just not how we work. And, you know, so that's just not who we are, and that's not how we're going to do things. However...
So did that answer the question of why we expanded?
Yeah.
Right?
But I will say as well, in the expansion of GMM, we are trying to be very careful about preserving that GMM experience in that first video every day.
Yeah.
So all the things that we're doing in that first segment every single day are the same kinds of things that we've always done as Good Mythical Morning. So if you're just like, I just want to sit down and watch you guys do a Will It, or I want to sit down and watch you guys play a game, or I want to sit down and watch you guys explore some topic in the way that you do, well, that's the way the show is always going to be. It's going to start that way. And if you don't want to watch the next segments, you don't have to. Nobody's forcing you to, but you have the option of just letting it play and continuing to watch the show. Mm-hmm. But I do think there is something that a lot of you have pointed out that I think is true, and we wanted to acknowledge it. So people are like, I don't mind the lighting. I know you guys can change that. I don't mind the sound. You can continue to work on that. But it just feels different. You guys seem different. You guys seem too scripted or too tight. So, and we want to acknowledge that, well, it's kind of true, because to be totally honest with you, with this change of thinking about the show on this level, and even just moving to the other side of the room and putting our desk over here, a bigger desk, like there's just a lot of changes, and we've kind of been kind of uptight, kind of wound tight about this whole thing. So I think that you can kind of see that in these first few episodes of like, we are getting used to being comfortable in. If you go back and watch the first couple of episodes of Good Mythical Morning, and you will cringe at how uncomfortable we seemed. And it's usually when there's a big change, it's just like we're kind of getting into the groove and getting back to being ourselves.
Actually, I would say go back to the beginning of any season when we've taken like a longer break than like a week or two. I mean, especially in the even in like, we did 500 episodes. You come back after a few weeks and you're like, there's a level of excitement that like is good, and you can harness that to be like, oh, we're back. But then I think a lot of times you might see that, oh, they're wound a little tight. They're a little on edge, kind of a thing. Yeah. And I think it's that's just it just happens. So I think this is, maybe you can call it a speed bump in terms of us being comfortable in our own space, but we're just being honest with you, and I do think that's part of it. But I think we all agree. We know when we've got it. We know when we're in the groove, when we're being honest. So I actually love I love the fact that you guys are giving us feedback when you pick up on that, because that means that we love the same thing about the show. When there's like that legitimate laughter, or that unexpected exchange, or hey, they got off the rails a little bit, and so we're always dancing with being loose, keeping it loose, but keeping it tight and keeping it moving. Like the internet doesn't suffer things taking too long. Yeah. And across these longer episodes, we will experiment with pacing and videos that will feel different than Good Mythical Morning has, but we don't want to lose that vibe as an overarching mandate of tone.
Yeah. So
and especially in that first video, and then in Good Mythical More.
I think the bottom line is we know what you guys think, and we hear the sentiment behind what you're saying, and we don't think that you're wrong. I think that we think that a lot of people are kind of jumping to a lot of conclusions too early, not understanding that it isn't like we just lock things in and this is the way it's going to always be. I think the thing that is not going to change anytime soon is we're not going to go back to one video a day. We are going to do multiple videos a day, and we ask, but at the same time, we're going to continue to find that sweet spot of us being comfortable, you being comfortable, and you feeling. A lot of people have been like, I want that cozy video that I used to have every day. Well, that's not going to be taken away because we're doing 4 videos a day. None of the changes that we've made are going to ultimately detract from the experience of what you've enjoyed and how you've enjoyed us on this show. We're very conscious of that, and we know that it's not quite in a groove yet, but we're going to get there, and you shouldn't be worried about it. And we would just say,
yeah, well, I think in terms of what we're asking from them, I think it's a couple of things. So I cut you off, but the first thing I was guessing you were going to say was,
now you're guessing what I'm going to say.
Hang in there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Hang in there with us, Mythical Beast. I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is continue to give us your feedback, but resist the temptation to add a sense of desperation to it. I think, this can be a constructive conversation that goes both ways, and we're making adjustments. I think we're making that clear. And I guess the third thing is, there's a lot of people who were very vocal in the comments who are not watching this video like you are. So I would ask that you help convey some of these thoughts in the comments as you converse with other mythical beasts who are giving criticisms. That don't get caught up in arguments or responding to the tone of people's argument.
But you guys can be
focus on the content.
You guys can be a voice
of the comments.
In the comments can also point people to this video where they can hear us talk about these things. But anyway, we're not going to take any more of your time. Thanks for being your mythical best. Thanks for being here all these years, and just trust that everything is going to be okay.
And we'll see you tomorrow.